What are you doing? It's time to move. It's time for a change. I've decided I'm going to move to the UK. Alrighty, so a couple weeks ago, I went to the Formula One race down in Melbourne and in Albert Park. I'll put some photos up here, some photos or videos. I had a great time. I really did. And now I'm hooked. But anyway, that's besides the point. When I was there, a lot of the commentators were talking about the Formula One teams and where they're actually located. And I found out that more or less most of the teams are located within about a 30-minute bubble of a suburb called Biggin Hill in the UK. McLaren's in Woking, Mercedes-Benz Petronas is in Brackley, Red Bull's in Milton Keynes. I can't remember all of them, but you get, anyway, they're practically all located in the UK. The point is that none of them are anywhere close to Australia. And then you think about the car manufacturing industry in Australia. We don't build anything anymore. And then I started doing a deep dive on Formula One, Formula 2, Formula 3 drivers and where they live. Not exactly their street address, because that's a bit weird. Just more the country that they live in. And they more or less all live in UK, Western Europe, Monaco if they're cashed up because it's tax-free. It's just really expensive to get residency down there. Or the US, pretty much. So I've come to the conclusion that if I want to do anything with cars, whether it be in terms of an occupation, in terms of me working for someone, or if I was to take up racing professionally, which I need a lot of money, so that might be in a couple of years, assuming that this YouTube channel takes off. I'll sponsor myself. The general gist of what I've learned is nothing really happens down in Australia. I also had a paddock tour when I was down in the F1, and our tour guide was a professional racing car driver from Melbourne. He's about 38 years old, I believe. And he said if you want to do anything with cars, and I'm quoting him now, I wouldn't waste your time in Australia, I'd go straight to the UK. So, with all that being said, I've been looking at a few different options on how they can work, but whichever path I choose, I've got better opportunities in Europe, the UK, or the US, not Australia. So with that in mind, I've decided that I'm going to move to the UK. I just purchased my 2-year visa, which was about $4,000 Australian. It's about £2,000, and I'm leaving in a bit over 4 weeks. So I'm pretty excited. I'm a bit nervous. I think it's pretty normal to be nervous, especially when you're moving to the other side of the world. So yeah. I'm also just quite excited to go on a bit of an adventure. I mean, I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in, which is 25. I've got no mortgage. I've got no kids. I'm single. It's easy. This is going to be the easiest time to do it if I was to ever do it. So what does this mean for the channel? Well, for the next couple of weeks, there aren't going to be as many uploads, mostly just due to the fact that I've got a lot to figure out, as I'm sure you can appreciate. Trying to figure out jobs in the UK, where I'll be living. I quite like the idea, if you're a UK viewer, hopefully you can give me a few pointers on good places to live, but the Cotswolds area seems like it's quite nice and it's not too expensive. That's also another thing, the cost of living. The cost of living in Australia is really high, especially if you live in Sydney or Melbourne. That's not to say London is not expensive. London is probably just as expensive, if not more expensive than Sydney. However, I wouldn't really be living in London. Plus, I don't really like the idea of living in a big city full time. I think London's a great place to visit, but anyway, getting a bit ahead of myself. So yes, somewhere around the Cotswolds. It's in the south of England. It's close to France. Sounds pretty good to me. In regards to cars, I would ideally there's two options I'm thinking about. I'd either be renting a 1-bedroom flat or an apartment, or maybe even a room in someone's house. So it's unlikely that I'll have a garage. So I can do the one car policy that a lot of car enthusiasts do, which is exactly as it sounds. Your daily is your weekend car, and the occasional track car. Obviously there's risks involved with this. Or I could buy a daily, rent a garage, and then have a race car / weekend car. There's quite a few different ways that this can all work. But yeah, also something I haven't really ever considered on cars, because I live in Australia, is that cars in the UK rust a lot. I've got a lot of experience with E36s and E46s, and I've never had to deal with rust. It's never really been something I've ever even thought about. So, and then there's also car insurance, because car insurance on a non-UK license holder, which would be me for about 6 to 12 months, is really high, and my no claims discount that I've had here in Australia doesn't translate over. So insurance is going to be extortionate. Anyway, these are all things that pretty much anyone has to deal with when they're moving country. So it's no biggie. Anyway, I wanted to make this video to inform my loyal viewers about what's going on. I'd love to experience a lot of the car culture in the UK, as well as the countless racetracks that are over there, as well as there's countless racetracks in Europe. There's more to life than just racetracks, obviously, but it's a pretty big bonus for me. And I'm keen to take you along the journey of both self-exploration and exploring a different country. So, hope you enjoyed this video. UK coming soon.